The chapter that Martin Kalisa and I contributed to the Forging Solidarity book is about how people in extreme poverty act to create change. When we focus on the difference between poverty and extreme poverty, it's not a question of geography. Both in developing countries and in industrialized countries, in low-income communities, you find some people who are really isolated, who are doing worse than others and who are looked down on by others. There's a woman in Rwanda who describes this difference between poverty and extreme poverty in terms of the relationship that she lacks with her neighbors. She talked about her neighbors never having visited her home, even when one of her children died and she needed help to be able to bury her child. In Spain, similarly, a woman living in informal housing with many neighbors who were really struggling was looked down on them. Said that she had been told by other neighbors, "You make us look bad when you have to scavenge for food that way." And the reason that we feel it's very important to focus on the people in any low-income community who are really extremely poor is because a project that started with them can potentially reach everyone. It's not with the idea of excluding anyone, saying some people are not poor enough, but to be able to create changes that affect everyone, that include everyone in a community, it's important to start with the people who are the most left out. Another issue that our chapter addresses is the difference between charity and solidarity. For that, we look to Joseph Rosinski, who founded Altogether in Dignity Fourth World. He's someone who grew up in extreme poverty many years ago, and he saw in his childhood people trying to help his family in charitable ways that in fact were humiliating. And what he took from that was that the humiliation of being aided by others can actually be turned by many people in extreme poverty into self-contempt and really create an obstacle in trying to overcome poverty. So what we look at instead is ways to develop solidarity between people who are all in extreme poverty with everyone. And one of the things that this approach has led to is another focus of our chapter that challenges the politics of knowledge. It's an approach called merging knowledge, where people living in extreme poverty and academics can work together on an equal footing. Often in academia, when poverty is being studied, the experiences of people in poverty are analyzed by others. And that experience of having your own life analyzed by other people can actually paralyze your own thinking about your situation. So the idea of merging knowledge is to go beyond that, to create a situation where people with very little formal education and people with academic higher degrees can really collaborate, can learn to think together, to produce new knowledge that is emancipatory, that is not knowledge that is just for a theory. It's knowledge that's going to change people's situation. It's going to change the fact of people living in poverty to improve things. And that's what makes it a very empowering way for people to have a sense of agency and to contribute to. So those are some of the things you would discover in our chapter.